Thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, my guest this morning, Bola Olajuwon, Assistant Editor of The Nation's newspaper. Thank you very much, as always, for coming on.
I'm happy to be here.
Indeed. We should be looking at it's a reportorial aspect because we've been on this, since 2020, and I'm talking about linking your phone SIM to your national identity number. Now, all of this, as you well know, started back in 2020 when the mention was first made of it. And, you know, between then and now, you probably know already, government has had to postpone, or shall we say, extend the deadline no less than 10 times, the last being in March, the end of March. So now, by the 4th, which is today, the idea is that if your phone has not been linked, if your SIM card has not been linked to your national identity number, then you will only have limited use of your phone. You'll be able to receive calls, you won't be able to make them. That's where we are now. How doable is this? And questions are being asked as to, well, how is it going to help? Has it helped? By the way, we understand that, 125 million SIMs have been linked.
Yes,
already.
They've been linked.
They've been linked.
Yes.
125. Yes. Of course, that brings about the controversial question of how many SIMs, how many active SIMs are there actually out there? We are what, how many million are we supposed to be population?
Population, over 200 million.
People are saying over 200 million.
But more than that.
But probably more than that.
More than that.
And you see the situation now where so that's just about 1% of the population, but then one doesn't know, I don't know what percentage of the population actually is carrying a phone or has a SIM or wants a SIM, because it's not everybody, not at this stage of our development. So this is where we'll be hearing from experts. Apart from Bola here, we'll be looking at it from a reportorial point of view, covering the issue since 2020. It was hell at a certain time, but then it became easier. We'll talk about all of that. We'll also, hopefully, we'll be linking up with Ken Nnamani, not the one you think. He is Chairman, Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria, ATCON, as well as Deolu Ogunbanjo. Chief Ogunbanjo will also be joining us via phone. He's National President, National Association of Telecom Subscribers, NATCOMs. So, there we are. All of this probably is, even if it is obliquely, related to the Imam we hear, made a fiery speech. He has since been relieved of his post, we hear, but he's then since come on again on social media. It might be related, it might not be related, but I remember his criticism, it was felt to be too unsuitable.
Yes,
it was
for those in government.
Well, yes. And so he's been relieved of his imamship.
But in any case, he got another job yesterday. We heard about that.
Go on, tell me about that.
Yes, he got another job yesterday. And basically, because of that job that he got yesterday, people are hailing the people that even gave him the job. Yeah. Well, we don't know yet the situation of the job and how commendable the job is.
Yes.
But look, for somebody to say this man has come up to attack the government is the conscience of Nigerian, and he spoke the truth to those in power. Well, why not?
You see, again, I don't know what you think, Bola, but you see, attack the government is one expression. He was just speaking his truth to power.
He's not attacking the government.
No.
He spoke the truth to power.
Exactly. No, but when you said this man is attacking the government,
that is what people are saying.
What people are saying. By the way, I said we don't know how much, if at all, in any way, it is related. The statement now coming from Pantami, the Minister of Communications, because that had been part of what he had criticized in his sermon, that fiery sermon. He had said, look, you have a Ministry of Communications, you have a Ministry of Information, you have all these formations, you have all these equipment, satellite, you say you're not in the dark ages, and yet kidnappers, the phone is a main tool of the kidnappers in reaching their victims or their victims' friends. And how come all of this linkage has not been able to help us any? So, as I said, we need to be careful, because it's possible that this policy that has begun today might not necessarily be related. It could be coincidental.
Yes, coincidental.
It could be coincidental.
Yes, I agree with you.
So one just has to put that in perspective. Yes. But the man, first of all, made the noise, and then very shortly after, shall we say coincidentally, government is now saying, oh, by the way, no, you can't use your phone fully from then. Now we'll need to hear as soon as we can. I told you that we're expecting to speak with the chairman of Association of Telecoms Companies of Nigeria, because they are the people who can give us some insight into how doable. I mean, is it as simple a matter as throwing a switch? Once it has been decided as policy that you cannot call out with a SIM that has not been registered, but you can receive calls. Maybe later on they'll even adjust that. You can receive calls, but you can't make calls. How easily can that be done? That's what we need to find out.
Basically, the manifestation of what the Ministry of Communication promised the nation ought to have been seen before the commencement of the banning of SIMs that are not linked. Okay, the issue now is this: they promise us, or the president ordered the ministry to enforce the registration as a result of insecurity. But do you know what the kidnappers are doing now? They are using the phone of the people they kidnap or they abducted to call the family, because they knew the security agents are now using such SIMs being used by people to get across to them, to arrest them in their location. That is the situation now. Is the ministry ahead, or is the federal government or the security agent ahead of the kidnapper? That is the issue.
Exactly. That really is the question.
Is the question.
Because, as you say, the bandits, the kidnappers have evolved a workaround.
Yes,
now they're not using their own phones. Yes. I don't know that we have throwaway phones in Nigeria the way they have them abroad. They're said to be throwaway, untraceable phones. But, as you said, they now will use the phone of their victim.
Yes, their victims.
Hopefully it is registered, so you can call into it because they want a response to their ransom demand. Well, again, I'm not hearing at all from our guys upstairs as to whether or not we have any hope of anybody on the line. Okay, I understand that Chief Ogubanjo, Chief Adeolu Ogubanjo, good morning to you, sir. National President, National Association of Telecom Subscribers, NATCOMs. You've been in this field from the very, very beginning of GSM telephony. A fine morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. And how are you today, sir?
Very well, sir.
Good morning, viewers.
Indeed. Well, you heard about it, and give me your impression. We all know the reasons, but as to how easy it is to do, because it sounds like government wants it to be instant, since from the 4th of March, which is today. Do you have any idea, pending when we talk to the telecoms companies themselves, do you have any idea how easy it is to achieve this? Can you just throw a switch and everybody becomes the way government has said it? You can receive, but you can't call.
Well, thank you very much. First, I must say that it's not easy when it involves a lot of processes before you can actually link your SIM to the national identity number through the the National Identity Management Commission website. The process seems painful in the eyes of government, but unfortunately, it's pretty cumbersome. And I must also tell you that the portal, NIMC portal as well, I don't know whether it now has the capacity to, get all the uploads from all the NIM centers. Yes, there are so many NIM centers, but unfortunately, network issues have bedeviled all the centers because it's 9 weeks ago, the thing actually crashed down. I mean, it crashed out, and nobody could do anything for about 2 or 3 weeks. You couldn't do anything. And again, there are also some issues, in some northern states where
your account is...
Okay, we'll sort that out. Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll sort that out presently. Where Chief Ogumaje was going, I heard him there, and he was speaking about how cumbersome it is to even achieve the infrastructure. But part of this must also be, I think it needs to be said, not everybody has been cooperative.
Yes.
Not everybody who actually has a phone and the SIM has been cooperative. There was a time when we thought it would disable our phones, and so there was a whole rush, and the society almost wanted to crash, never mind their processes. Now society, because you know how people will just, there was a sea of heads, everybody had to do it by a certain date, it could only be done in a certain way, but then they relaxed the whole processes, remember? Then they also started putting up Atibabas tents, along streets, so that it could be easier to do. Even the networks that usually our own telephone networks that make things difficult, even they relaxed a bit by saying that, look, you know what, we can work with you. Do this, do that, and then we will link it up. Before, when I did mine, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit like yours. One had to go to both centers. One had to go to the NIN people for your national identity card number and all of that. Then one had to now bring it back to your telephone. If there was any issue, you had to also branch at a local government area and swear an affidavit. I mean, it was cumbersomeness galore.
Yes.
But it eased out, and for all of that easing out, 1.25 only have been registered. I don't know how many phone-bearing people we have out of 200 million odd people.
Okay, well, that is where the question is. Okay, basically, we are talking of registration now. Do you know what Nigerians are even going through? Nigerians who want to obtain international passport are going through? Okay. I remember my case very well. Okay, now they said I didn't order, or they didn't order my name, maybe surname, middle name, first name, very well.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when I got to immigration, they checked. They said, go back, to NIMC Center in Alausa. And I did that. Getting there, they said, fine. They did everything. They collected money. For more than 1 month, they could not. They were telling me that it has not dropped. That means all the correspondence they did in the center in Alawas had not been effected. And invariably, I waited for almost 1 month. Go to immigration service, go to Ikoyi, go to Festac, go to Alawasa here. They will tell you they have cases like that.
Yeah.
When we have cases like that for official usage of our registration, NIN and this. Now, what becomes of the issue if it comes to investigation of security cases like theft, kidnapping, abduction, and things like that?
Because the way it works, most Nigerians will know, is that with a telephone, a GSM telephone, authorities, police, whoever, can actually triangulate where you are at, to speak an Americanism.
Yes.
They can triangulate where you happen to be to a very short, margin.
And
they will be able to trace you. But the system must be working first.
Yes.
You mentioned immigration. You mentioned some other instances. How about the most common, perhaps the most ubiquitous use of our telephony and digital infrastructure? Banking. People have problems. People have health problems. Look, your bank might just choose a day And on that particular, well, actually the bank doesn't choose the day, but you get what I mean. On that particular day, there will be no transactions. The app is down, you can't send money, you can't receive money, and they'll say, we've become used to it. Say, well, it's the network. The network is down. So the quality of this network, I really hope that we can speak with Association of Telecoms Companies of Nigeria chair, because he will help us understand some of the difficulties, because there appear to be difficulties.
Basically, if we go by what the last speaker told us, he said the process is cumbersome.
He said it's cumbersome.
Now, okay, now we are talking of registration now.
Yeah.
Then some SIMs will not be able, or Nigerians who refuse to link their SIMs will not be able to make call. Okay, fine now. Now, and aside that, not everybody that linked will be able to make call at the time they wanted to make call.
Because of the problems of the network. Even when you've done all that you should do. Even when you're good.
When you are good. When you are set.
You still will not necessarily have 100% use of the
That is the more reason people are questioning the infrastructure we have to make sure that the quality of communication through telephone, GSM, is up and doing. That is the problem. Okay, now let me tell you. About 12 years ago when I went to Ethiopia, okay, and I said, oh, please, I need a SIM. They asked me, bring your passport, international passport.
Okay.
And that was what they did. They did all the process they gave me. When I was going, they said you must return the SIM.
Okay.
Which I did.
I feel that our people, that is in Nigeria, we make the same request/demand. If you are a foreigner and you want a SIM, there's going to be a place there where you're going to have to sign. No?
Yes.
You're going to have to,
are they doing that?
Okay.
Are they be up and doing as per the rule, implementing the rule and enforcing the rule? That is another issue. Okay, now that is one indicates. Okay, I met an American. He was asking me, oh, please give me your number. I gave him the number. Then I said, oh, this one I use for data. He said, what? How many numbers are you going all about with in the name of communicating with people? He said, what the lady told me, I use only one line.
Yeah.
For my data.
Yeah.
For my calls.
And for your calls.
Every other things that I do.
Yes. There are more than a few Nigerians who have only one line too. But I hesitate to be too heavy on that because the network is so wonky that even if you have two SIMs of the same network,
you may not be able to reach.
You might not be able to reach on one of those SIMs.
Yes.
And on the other one, you'll be able to reach. So we don't quite know what exactly they are doing in the communications ministry with Minister, headed up by Minister Pantame, who is an expert in these matters. It would appear that there are limitations. But having said all of that, we're still a heck of a long way away from where we used to be. We're in a very, very good place. It really has eased up our lives. And the purpose of all of these registrations and all of that is really to be able to monitor. So everybody, I don't think anybody will quarrel with it. But I understand that people are now saying that, well, this is so sudden. Well, from 2020. From 2020. How can it be sudden? From 2020.
Do you know that the first set of registration...
sorry, sir. From 2020 first, and then extending 10 times for people to just key in. Not everybody wants to.
Do you know that the first set of registration was done in June 2013? Yes. For whole SIMs, they were not registered. Okay? Now, the commencement of the new registration was in 2020. In 2020, it was ordered in 2020 so that all SIMs will be on, national registration database. But we are still having a problem. Now the issue is the registration is the first process. What about the infrastructure to make everything, the process, holistic. Holistic in the sense that, oh, fine, the database is there, the SIMs are linked, the SIMs that are not registered will not be able to make the call. Then, please, Yori, I want to say it. Go under bridge, go to market. People have registered SIMs that they will give you, and you will start making call. What about, all the SIMs?
Yeah.
These are the questions.
There's a whole lot. But I understand that we have Chief Adeolu Ogubanjo back. Hello again, Chief. Thank you for staying with us. So you were just explaining before the little, issue. You were just explaining how it's a cumbersome matter, even though government might think of it as a, light switch kind of a thing. Switch on, switch off.
Yes. Yes, government would think it's so easy.
But government has experts. Sorry, sir. Government has its experts. Why would they think it's easy to do if it isn't easy to do? Headed up by Minister Pantami himself. He's the chief expert of the president of the government on matters like this.
Yes, they have experts, but because they are government, they want it done as soon as possible. And don't forget, it started in December 2020. We've only gotten about a year, 4 months. The last time when we were going to do our our SIM registration at that time, when it was made compulsory, remember, it took some 2 to 3 to 4 years before we are now where we are.
Yes.
But right now, it's only a year, 4 months or so. Mm-hmm. And then how much have we been able to do? I would think that Minister Pantami should hold a meeting with the operators. At that time, about 6-7 years back when we were doing our SIM, the number of connected lines are fewer than now. Now we have crossed the 200 million mark. Now look at that within a space of 1 year, 4 months. I think it's premature. However, the government should look at all the network operators as well as the internet service providers, because you also must register your modems. So all the internet service providers, the network service operators, hold a meeting with them. How far have you been able to go? Have you done 50, 60% or whatever? And then what do we do? It is an industry concern. Government must not just, policies that may not be achievable.
Okay.
We must meet with stakeholders.
Chief, because you are in it as the president of the Association of Telecoms subscribers, that's from our point of view, and you've interfaced and interacted with the authorities of this whole telephony. I'm just being told by Bola here, who is the assistant editor of the Nation newspapers, who is in studio with me, that look, outside of the country, the processes are one way. Inside here, his assessment is that it's a bit more lax. You can easily go to some of those guys around the Ikeja, perhaps, or similar areas, and actually acquire a duly registered SIM. You do know that Nigerians just have this hobby, shall we call it, of trying to circumvent, walk around any of these new policies that come up. They just don't want to change. So the question I'm asking you is that, are we doing it any differently from, in your experience, what obtains in other countries, maybe even Ghana? Don't go to Sweden yet. Don't go to Canada or the US yet. Even in Ghana, even in Kenya, what's your experience of how things are over there, Chief?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's open in all these places. They are used to a particular process or model. The moment you buy your SIM, you must register it. But because of the situation, the security situation in Nigeria, that is why, they're saying you must link it to your national identification number, which is fine in view of the security concerns. And government wants to make Nigeria more secure. But in doing that, you now must not be so, it shouldn't be in a hurry. You give us time. All those people that, are selling pre-registered SIM will soon get into the police net, because the moment anything happens, it is the picture, because you can't register a SIM without a picture. So it is those people who are providing spaces for this pre-registered SIM that will be,
they will be in hot water.
The police, yes.
Yes, because as you're pointing out, Chief Ogunbanjo, the registration does involve having your picture taken, having your fingerprints taken.
Definitely.
By the time you combine that, fingerprints and a photograph, they have quite a bit. But what is your experience, again, staying with you, your observation as to the willingness of the citizenry to actually register? Some people, I'm not saying it's anything like the same, but look at the situation we had with COVID-19. There are those who are declining, saying, look, I'm good. I'm not going to follow what the recommendations are. I do believe that there are some other people like that, simply because a drastic action such as has just been announced has not been taken yet. Some people probably will be carrying on with, just going on their merry way. But what has been the observation you have made in this regard?
Well, thank you very much, sir. In the case of COVID-19, I must tell you that is optional, because it deals with your health. But in this case, you have no option in view of the security situation we are in Nigeria. So it becomes compulsory for you to do your SIM Nin-Link. But beyond that, now you go to the centers. I've been there several times. Hardly can they do the best they can do in one day. Go to them is maybe between 5 to 10. If you are lucky, you may do 8. But let's say max 10 people in one day. And you can imagine how many centers that would be doing 10-10 with several millions of subscribers. So there are issues and there are concerns concerning these things, particularly the processes of registration. And some of those centers are not full-fledged centers like the the service provider centers. They are, looking good. That is the Airtels of this world, the MTN, the Glows, and the Etisalat. Those ones, they also have centers. But those other ones that they register, on the side, to actually do these things, it is always difficult for them. And how many people will, go to the network operator centers? The government should understand this. The processes that we are going through now is slower than they think.
Okay.
For the NIMC portal,
yes.
The capacity is also not there for all these uploads.
That's correct. That's correct.
Why it crashed some about 8-9 weeks ago.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything. These are the issues subscribers are facing.
This is certainly the case, Chief. One moment, please, because I remember the NIM thing, again, using our personal experience. In my experience, from the date of registration to actually seeing my number, that was about 3 years. I'm telling you, from filling the form, submitting it at the Keja place in front of ICM there, almost, adjacent to ICM there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I was the only one in Nigeria, but from completing the forms, I did not see the number until 3 years later. And as a matter of fact, I only began to really search for it in earnest when they linked this telephony to it, saying you must link the two. So this brings us to the issue, what Chief Ogunbanjo has told us. This brings us to the issue, Bola, doesn't it, that government needs to understand the directives they are giving and what it takes, and saying, "Komi de komi," on the 4th, it is done. Well, I don't know. People feel that it's too sudden and will not bring about the desired result. Meanwhile, it's causing panic, consternation, and confusion all over the place.
Okay, you see, Yori, we always apply fire brigade approach to things. Okay? Now, they said, the government said, give the directive that, okay, on the 4th, right from the 4th,
it commences.
It commences. Fine. Then, see, we've not been seeing...
That is as of yesterday.
Yes, we've not been seeing campaign, orientation.
No, we don't do that. We don't do that.
Of this.
No, we don't.
And aside that, the issue is this. What about the rural area?
Exactly.
The tomato seller.
What about the rural area? All of whom have come to depend on telephony.
Telephony.
Okay, we're looking at government's directive. The president has approved that the 4th, which was yesterday, the 4th be the day, the 4th of March be the day that, April, we're in April, be the day that they commence this policy in the interest of enhanced security of limited use of phones that are not duly registered. Newspaper reports, when we were off air, Bola was just telling me that 198 million phone connections are in existence. And if we're talking about around the 200 million mark for the population of Nigeria, when you look at 198 million, clearly it doesn't mean that just about everyone in Nigeria has a phone. No, there are going to be those that have 6, 7 SIMs. Some will have 2. A lot of phones are dual SIMs. Some, China, Korea, are actually 3 SIMs. Don't be surprised if there are 4, but it doesn't matter if there are ones with 4. But the point is that very few people, because you have to think of all the rural areas and all of those places. Well, Chief Ogunbanjo, I want to thank you for giving us the insight that you've given us. But we'll see how all of this goes, because I was thinking that with Minister Pantami in place and all the other technical gurus that are in NCC and all over the place, that they would have been able to advise government properly as to the feasibility of this. I mean, because it won't be done. I don't know. It won't be. Well, again, the proviso is that once you are cut off, that is half cut off, you will be able to make, you won't be able to make calls, but you can receive calls. That situation will exist until you actually go and do the right thing and then go and register. How easy that is another matter. So, Chief Ogunbanjo, any final words as we thank you for joining us this morning?
Well, thank you very much. You see, the gentleman in the studio did mention that there are issues, in some areas, particularly the rural areas. Beyond that, I did say earlier that some states of the north definitely just shut down all the masts and all that, asked the operators to shut down the masts in their areas for a while. These are subscribers. They are disenfranchising from actually doing their SIM linkage. Again, in Kwara State, they are beefing the operators that they must pay more tax. They have closed down everything in all these cell sites of all the operators in Kwara. As we speak, they are saying that the telecom operators should get more. They should pay more taxes to the Kwara State government. There are issues here and there.
Yeah.
The situation where you are now telling us that it won't affect those set of people. Minister Pantami should understand these things. And this is for our benefit. For God's sake, extend it further.
All right then. So you're advocating an 11th extension. Government has already extended 10 times between commencement and the end of March. But you are recommending that we need yet another extension.
At all.
Okay.
They've always just done three months. However, because of situations that is not in control of the subscriber, these are, things that they can't, it's out of their control. You should look into that now and at least give a further 3 months extension, at least.
We thank you very much, Chief Adeolu Ogunbanjo, National President, National Association of Telecom Subscribers of Nigeria. Thank you very much, Chief Ogunbanjo.
Thank you for having me, sir.
You're welcome. Well, so there you have it. Telling it from our perspective, my perspective, is the telecom subscribers. That's us. What we now need to hear from the companies, and we made arrangements, but if it happens, it happens. But so far, if not now, maybe on another day. But we did have on our list the Association of Telecoms Companies of Nigeria to hear from them, because they would know. But perhaps all of those people are huddling around a table somewhere, putting heads together to see, look, this is official policy. It's not a debate. Government has said this, but then our guy, the man on, speaking for subscribers, has said that maybe they need to look at this whole policy again. Chief Ade in the UK, good morning to you, sir.
My great Dr. Yori, how are you today, sir?
Fine, thank you.
And my brother in the studio.
Okay, Bola Olajuwon.
Bola Olajuwon.
Thank you.
I'm sure Bola Olajuwon will have up to 3 lines. Why Dr. Yori about 4 lines? On a serious note, you see, banning this thing does not stop crime. They don't need to give a timeline at all. All they need to do is, if you want to apply for anything, maybe you want to travel, you don't have NIN, you can't go. So with that alone, Nigeria will go and register. So you don't need to put a timeline. This doesn't stop criminals. They can obtain a SIM card from Cotonou or Niger or Chad and use in Nigeria. So it doesn't really matter. They will go along and visit rather than changing government about taxes. Because when you block about 70 million people now, how will they get tax to pay? How will MTN get tax to pay? So they don't need to put a timeline. So, but let them put a law there that, okay, if you want to enter airport or you want to buy something, if you don't have NIN, you can't do it. Nigeria will go and get it. That's the way Patani should do it. So that it's just no outgoing call. What people on emergency in rural area, it doesn't make sense at all. So I don't buy it at all.
Exactly.
So that's my own contribution to this issue.
Thank you.
It's a matter of security. You understand?
All right.
It's a matter of security.
Thank you.
They should not change themselves.
All right, Mr. Ade, thank you very much calling in from the UK. And then relating to what he has just said, that look, Nigerians will just do it in this kind of way and everybody will go and register and all of that. Then there's the other aspect of even those of us that are properly registered and linked, we are not assured of 100% efficiency of our line.
An effective
yes, then you start having to go back there to say, why did you take away my facility for making calls? I am good now. Then they'll say, okay, fill this form and leave it. God knows how many of those we're still going to see. But the point is, people feel this is sudden and not exactly well thought out, even though most people probably understand the reason behind all of this. But, they say this is probably not the way to go. At the same time, government wants to fight crime. We criticize government. We say you're not doing enough. So now government is saying, fine, you might think that, but government has always said that it is doing what it is doing, and now they've brought this one out, and there's been this howl of protest.
Yori, the issue is this, okay? Let's Okay.
Okay, let me include Kennedy in this conversation.
Okay.
Good morning, Kennedy in Port Harcourt. They told me Kennedy was there. Kennedy?
Yes, Kennedy, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning to you, Mr. Yori, and to my brother gentleman there at the studio with you.
Yes,
Kennedy, hello, please, I can hear you. Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning.
Look, Mr. Yori, something really bothers me.
Carry on, please.
And this thing that bothers me is this. You see, we every time when we talk about stuff like this, we fail to quite an extent to address this attitudinal ills of majority of Nigerians. We always wait until the 11th and a half hour before we start running helter-skelter, killing ourselves on the queue. Why do we not, as a people, I'm not speaking for the government, please, but I'm just saying it the way it should be said. Why must we always wait? Why, when instructions are given, why not we immediately see the need to follow up on such instructions and do the needful? Because the truth is this: if you do the needful as at when it is necessary, there will be no need for this chaos at the 11th and a half hour. Yeah. My brother there at the studio said something about the U.S. Believe you me, in places like the U.S., when instructions of this nature are given, people don't wait before they start to respond. People see the need to do the needful immediately.
Okay. I get the point.
I can assure you, sir.
Yeah.
Until we start to see things the way things should be seen, we will always face this situation. Even if the federal government increase this timeline for a year, 10 years, there are still some of us who will not take it, who will not see it as anything serious to do the needful. So let us.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Kennedy. But, you know, even if it sounds as if, and that's not my business to do, but even it sounds like I'm, you know, rising to the defense of the, you know, ordinary Nigerian who always gets the short end of the stick in these matters anyhow. Look, it is the authorities, my opinion now, that don't provide enough facilities to help make their policy directive practicable. I remember that when this started, on the contrary, a lot of Nigerians took it seriously enough, but then come and see the queues, because there was no way for it to keep it moving. So you had a jam of people, it overwhelmed wherever you happen to be at, and that is the main problem. And so it got to a stage where there were crowds everywhere, and that is not going to lead to any good results. When we make these directives, we don't think about how are people going to obey. What Kennedy is saying, what Mr. Ade in the UK was just saying, we all arrive, those of us that want to arrive, that want to comply, we know we have to. It's not easy to do because government has simply not thought about it. Maybe I should stop saying government. We have simply not thought enough about it. If it were a commercial production, no way it would be as chaotic as this. No way. You hand this thing to the private sector. They know what to do. They will arrange it. They will think about it. They will tell you, don't all go and jam yourself there. We all had to go to the NIMC building.
Yes.
You know, initially,
yes.
We all had to go there.
Yes.
And that was the only place to go. So there are these matters.
Then later, they now said, okay, GSM operators, can do the registration.
And that eased it a bit,
a lot. But how many Nigerians, how many Nigerians will be able to go to operators' offices? Operators' offices, are they there in rural area?
And then what also, when they allowed the telcos themselves in on it, even the telcos simplified matters more by saying that you didn't even have to come in.
You can as well do it on your app.
You can do it on your phone, on your app. They opened up a portal. So that was why I say that if this had been in the hands of the private sector, this mess would not have been there. Mazi Okorafo, good morning, Ojari. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, our guest. So you see, the issue of SIM linkage is not the issue. Look, what does it take? We have what we call mobile phone registration. The Nigerian government, the authority concerned are serious. They should put this van into action to go around and do this thing. Because one, we are talking about COVID-19, we are talking about micro, anything we call it, and we are telling people to go to it. That is why many people will know that. Look, do you know that all these things we are talking, during the exam registration, candidates had it very, how many times that's very difficult to get their profile code. Even to get the name was a problem for many candidates. Look, let me tell you, whether Nigeria is good now, send their reporters to go around. I'm telling you that over 30 to 40% of Nigerian students who wanted to register, they couldn't register JAMB because they were unable to get their name to register. And because of that, they cannot write JAMB this year, they wait till next year. That is common to get that name was a problem. Now we have SS2 students who will be coming to SSA next year. Many of them, some of them have not registered. This is the problem. If WAEC send their reporter to go to WAEC, you see that WAEC, the situation they did that, WAEC had a problem. When WAEC discovered that to get a name to come and register, the WAEC said candidates should register for WAEC, that before they collect their result, before they write the exam in May 15th, and they must have gotten that their name. These are the challenges Nigerians are facing. And we were told last 2 months that their system collapsed. I don't know whether it has vibrated or it has come back to normal. Only God in heaven knows. So we shouldn't be forcing, making laws that are not very dead, that move to them. Because Nigerians tolerate anything we say, everything. If you come back, you give automatic. We are not running a military era. We are not because civilian, democratically elected government. So everything should move sequentially. Look,
all right.
Some people have problems. Students for SSC have problems. Now the government has said the government should take it easy.
All right then. Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafo. Government should take it easy. Well, government is under pressure. We are criticizing, when I say we, the citizenry, criticizing government for not doing enough to address the security situation. The Minister of Information was here yesterday, and everybody was saying that you guys, flying colors when it comes to infrastructure. Security, I'm afraid you're yet to pass. You don't have a pass mark. If it depended on, if your record, if promotion was involved, there's no how we can promote you. As for infrastructure, maybe we can even consider a double promotion, considering what you guys have done. But as for security, you're not about to be promoted yet. You get the analogy I'm making.
Yes,
So people are saying that, and government feels pressured, I would imagine. And now they're doing this, but people are, Mazi just said, government should calm down a bit.
Yes, let me tell you one thing. Look, in the next 10 years, if the government should give the latitude to Nigerians, to say, okay, fine, I want to give you 10 years to do the registration.
There will still be latecomers.
You will still latecomers. People will not go to register.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it here because it's a very frustrating discussion. Maybe we're going to take another stab at it when we can get those people who now need to tell us, who can tell us exactly what is going on and how this is going to work. So there will be a continuation. Maybe we should consider that we have started the conversation, and our thanks go to Chief Adeolu Gubanjo, who joined us via phone. The National President, National Association of Telecom Subscribers. And I also thank you as well for bringing the reportorial perspective to it when we started covering all of this. 198 million phone connections.
Yes.
198 million phone connections.
And they've been linked to 78 million unique national identity numbers. And then MTN has a total of 75 million subscribers, giving it a market share of about 38%. Other major operators include Airtel, Globalcom, and Naimoba.
Of course, all of these people.
Yes, they share the remaining one.
Thank you very much, Bola. Bola Olajuwon, Assistant Editor of The Nation Newspapers, and that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.